Kicks 105.5, Sugarland, Everyday America. It is 7:47 on this snowy Wednesday morning. It was a slow ride in this morning. The roads were pretty darn bad. It is time now for a conversation this morning. Mr. Mike Barrett's in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
How bad are the roads still?
Not too bad. I was running a little late, so I wasn't being as cautious as I normally would be in a snowy morning, I didn't go off the road. So take that for what it's worth. I do have winter tires on my wife's car, though.
It's a good policy not to listen to him. Slow down and be careful this morning.
Well,
it's really slick.
Yeah, I mean, what it equates to is having to remind ourselves that we can't go Mach 1 in inclement weather.
You have to slow down. Yeah.
You do, yeah. In fact, I had the scanner on just for entertainment purposes at the office the other day, and boy, they were busy talking. There was a lot going on.
Good policies brought to you this morning by the Barrett Insurance Agency, online at thebarrettagency.com.
Yes, sir.
In the studio is the Barrett.
From the Barrett Agency.
Yes, the Barrett from the Barrett Agency. That's right. I like that. We should just call you the Barrett.
There's a guy at one of the companies that's what he called me. He called the family the Barretts, like the Bears.
The Barretts, yeah.
The Barretts, yeah. He'd love to do that.
So last week we were talking about auto claims.
Yes.
And this week we're going to be talking about home claims.
Absolutely. We're going to continue this discussion for a while because one of my things that I say the most is I always say this. I can write you a policy however you want, but it's at the event of a claim that you need it to work, which is why I won't write you a policy however you want.
Right, I understand.
But did you know that there are things that you must do in the event of a claim? Did you know this? You're a radio man, and you're giving eye contact like, no. You're supposed to verbalize things about.
I'm laughing. No, of course I don't.
So this is actually from the contract, and I'm not going to quiz you, but there's ISO, Insurance Service Offices, and then there's the American Association of Insurance Services. Those are the two companies.
Governing bodies.
Well, they're the ones that really have all the forms in the contracts, and companies adopt them to write policies. But here's one from AAIS. It says, in the case of a loss, the insured must give us or your agent prompt notice. Give notice to police if it's an act of crime, or give notice to credit or debit card company if the loss involves a credit or debit card. So you got to tell them what happened, when it happened, how it happened, and there's responsibilities that you have to do. Let's say, for example, it's a partial loss, and it's something that I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe like a roof problem. A tree came in on a roof.
A tree came in on a roof. All right.
So you as the insured have some responsibility because it's you are the one that needs to make sure that you're protecting property from further damage.
Right. So you got to make sure that you get it covered with a tarp. If you got a hole in your roof, you have to take necessary action to act in a grown-up and mature way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So and the specifics are the insured must take all reasonable steps to protect covered property at and after an insured loss to avoid further loss.
Okay.
Now, if there's costs involved, that will be triggered by your policy. They'll pay the reasonable cost to help you out with that. But that's important to know. And now let's talk about claims expectations. Now, we talked about auto where there is a process involved.
Yes.
Let's talk about the multiple types of losses for a home.
So let's set up the scenario.
Go for it.
You've got a tree laying in your garage, a big hole in the roof, snow blowing in. You've covered it with a tarp the best you can.
Right.
But you need to get this fixed quick, and you don't want to go take out a loan on your own, and you don't have enough in your checking account to cover it. So we need some money coming in quickly.
All right. Correct.
What do you do?
So you file a claim, and every company has emergency hotlines. So it doesn't matter when this claim occurs. Call it in. There's a 24-hour hotline for everybody, and you can call us all the time. We discussed that already. We can go ahead.
Call him at home.
You can. I won't answer, but I'll go. I don't recognize that number.
I gave him. That's the don't answer line. I gave him that number.
But seriously, we will take your call. We will walk you through the process. In emergency situations, I don't know so much that a tree falling on the garage equates to an emergency, but you certainly need to.
Maybe a tree falling on your dining room.
Well, yes. And at that point, and this is one of the things I love, is that they will dispatch an adjuster very quickly in emergency situations. And they can even have some monies ready for you on site.
Oh, that's awesome.
These folks come with checkbooks, and they are authorized to write up to a certain limit as necessary to keep people safe and protected.
That's
in the
awesome.
event of an emergency like a total home fire, or even a partial fire where your house is uninhabitable, they can be on site very quickly and give you enough money to stay at a hotel for the night or do what you need to do.
Now, we talked about this before. in an emergency, might they even show up on a weekend, or is that just not going to happen?
Any hour. Yeah.
Any hour. Oh,
yeah.
that's good. Wow.
If deemed necessary, yes. That's dependent on the company. Some companies wouldn't do that, some will.
Now, we talked about car claims, and you said you're not going to get anybody over the weekend.
You're really not.
But with a home claim, that's different.
That's different because that's where you reside. Live. That's where you have to.
That's where life happens.
Exactly. And honestly, if they aren't on top of it, there's the possibility of additional loss. So it's really in the best interest of a company to get there and get things squared and at least get the process going. And then there's a dialogue that goes from that point till the time the claim is closed. I've seen total losses last almost a year of discussions in terms of getting personal property replaced and things like that. So it's about discussion, it's about keeping an open line of communication, and it's about patience.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I've seen it work to its best, and it's pretty impressive.
If people have questions and they would like to talk personally to you,
sure.
In the event, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it might, what would they do?
What would they do?
What would they dial?
They would dial. See, now I need to sip coffee more. 748-5224. You call that line, and even after hours, it will give you contact information to get us after hours.
And you can find them online at thebarrettagency.com and on Facebook.
Barrett Insurance Agency.
Barrett Insurance Agency.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's claims are a mystery to a lot, so it's good to at least have some sense of what to expect.
Yes, so something happens, get your notepad ready, get your blue tarps ready, and get your phone ready because you need to do a couple of things right away.
Right.
We'll talk more about it next week.
Sounds great. Have a great week, pal.